welcome to another edition of Tales from the Interface Live. My name is Emmanuel, and I will be drawing in front of you for the next hour. So today I am still continuing working on what I call the storyboard phase of my comic. But before I start, I'd just like to say welcome to a new follower on Facebook called Tony Le Trouvé. Welcome, Tony. I hope you can join us for these lives. It will be cool. Otherwise, I wanted to share something with you guys that I got a reaction of in the Transformer forums that I go to. So I thought, why not? So let me share my screen. So this is a transformer that transforms into a cicada, and at this time of year, outside you hear a lot of them, and it's really nice, and it's been something I like when I work from home. So I thought I'd share that with you. It's one of my toys from when I was a kid. So without further ado, let me set up all my stuff here. So as usual, if you have any question, don't hesitate to put them in the chat. I will answer as best I can. For now, I'm just setting up all my stuff here. Where's that pop-up chat? Not here. Okay. Okay, so the what you're seeing on my screen right now is the page view of Clip Paint Studio, so that kind of gives you an overlook of where I am currently today. The page is in gray, so the bottom part here, these are the first step of when I lay out the pages, and then this is at this stage the drawing is very rough, as you might be able to see. I know it's a little small, maybe like this is a little bit better. So the drawing is usually pretty rough, and this is the second step. So this is the first step. So very rough drawing. The idea is just to kind of make some sense of where I'm going to put my panels, how I'm going to split my text, maybe shorten it as well, so if it has trouble to fit inside a specific panel. So and then I went back to the beginning, and I started to just make the drawings a little bit better, rethink some of what I did. It's very important to rethink. So when I do the script, I think about all the texting, and then when I do the black and white part for rough draft, I think again about the layout, and then when I'm at this stage, I'm making it a little bit better, but I'm still thinking and tweaking. If you focus on one panel at a time, it's very difficult to have an overview of the whole thing, and then it's really beneficial to come back to something after a while, because you see things you haven't seen when you were too deep inside. So this is an approach I really recommend. All right, I'm currently working on this page here, and one thing I've been doing that I've been liking a lot, you can see it from the page before. This is something I've always been like kind of using different colors for layers, but I've been applying it to pretty much every page now, and I find it extremely beneficial at this stage of the drawing. So it kind of shows me each there's some construction line here, but it kind of shows me the main layers I'm gonna use in the drawing. So I have kind of my brown, I can have that in one layer, and then the red can be another layer, and then the purple can be another layer. This is useful when you want to make tweaks later on. I probably like draw these guys, draw the background, and then make a mask for the guys on top, and then make a mask for these guys on top. So, if I want to move them, it's really easy, and to tweak and make stuff like that, rather than making a whole flat thing. And I can color just that layer as well at the end, and then I can move it around. I can remove them at all. One day maybe I need to use this panel again in a future comic, and why not? If I change a lot of stuff in it, like different people, so why not reuse it? I'm not against that at all. Personally, I don't do it that much, but if it if it fits, it fits. So I'm keeping my options open. So that's pretty much where I am today. So this is kind of a full page scene that I'm working on now, where the characters are kind of looking at a gorgeous meal in front of them. So let's just get started with that. One thing I've been trying, just like yesterday, I've been thinking, why not like make the elements in the front are warmer, like in warm colors, like red and yellow, orange, and then the elements in the back be blue, because in fact, in typically in a lot of situation, things that are closer to you will be warmer and will you have warmer colors, and things are in the back because of atmospheric perspective, which is just the thickness of the air makes things duller and makes things bluer. Of course, I mean, the characters in the back don't really suffer from atmospheric perspective. They're not that far, but still, having a difference in color, I use that all the time when I'm in the color stage, like making the background a little bit bluer, a little bit less saturated. Really helps to make the front pop up. And I also another trick with that is using the very subtle gradients. I might use a very subtle gradients under these red characters here, so that they pop up more. So I'm sure that this panel will require a lot of layers. I mean, there's already how many layers on this? Like 17 layers on this page. So you can see that it's going to be quite a heavy one. All right. Yeah. Okay, let's just get started. So they're looking at the food. At this point of the drawing, I try not to get too hung up on details. I will like I try to put detail that kind of makes sense. I don't want to do too much, because if for whatever reason I need to change, it's gonna be quite a hell to redo everything. So I'm taking baby steps. I want to be precautious, so that if I need to change this page, it won't be, I won't feel too sad about it. But I do want to at least get a good idea of what it's gonna be like. So really just laying out some elements here and there. Maybe this one is not open yet, so it's kind of and I haven't done it yet, but There's probably cockroaches living around there, so I can have fun with that. I need to be careful though, because as you see this line here, I don't know if you can see, but there's a crop mark here. So where you see that line here is my bleed, so that means that the image might be cut. So you know, it can be a little bit inside, it can be a little bit outside, but typically you don't want to draw anything important in the zone here. So if I want to draw a little cockroach, I'd better draw it here where I'm sure people will see it. Some strawberries perhaps. And my characters eat cubes, so I can have these cubes here, some bunch of cubes. Not sure. I have to think about how I'm gonna draw that, but I think I get the idea like that. As again, as I say, I don't want necessarily to spend too much time on details here. Just in case that I come back to this drawing and I think, oh my god, I needed to switch the action around. I don't think I do, because I give this a lot of thought. You can watch the other episode I did on this. But you never know. You might need to change at one point. Okay. So I think for the moment the front is okay. Yeah, let me just maybe draw the table itself. Because the blue line, I will kind of get rid of them. So the table kind of is here. I'm not sure how I'm gonna finish this. I might like have the rest of like have it cut here or something, because when perspective gets too far at one point it starts making any sense. So I might cut my panel like here about. Okay, so this is kind of my food layer, and then I have some characters here, some characters here, and then I have what? This is the sketch, and then I have some construction lines, more construction lines. These two would probably be merged. Constructing, so this is really a sketch layer. This is something I'll get rid of eventually. Yeah, I'm just thinking about what makes the most sense right now. There should be a lot more people in this room, so I'm not necessarily too experienced about drawing groups. I always kind of struggle with it. So I guess it's a good chance to practice that. I knew going in that this would be one of the challenges of this specific story, because there is a lot of people in that one. Actually draw like a scene in the bathroom where there was like a ton of people in one of the previous chapter, if you've seen. Yeah, I don't know. I think it turned out okay. I'm sure if I were to do it again, I probably could improve it. So I don't know if this guy is gonna show up too much, because he's kind of on the line. So this middle line here is where the page is where the book folds. So kind of the middle part, it will be kind of lost. So that's something we need to think about. So drawing in colors, it allows you to do this, like you can draw just on top of the other form, and then you know that red is front and green is back. And as I said before, if you use like colder colors for the back, then it kind of feels natural that these objects are in the back. Whereas if you put warm colors in the back, yeah, you might tell the shapes apart, but the depth is harder to tell. But I think like this, you know, I can easily tell that this character is in the back. And I might even like maybe make him a bit like this, maybe. Yeah. He might be a bit tall there. So I watched a short interview with is it could be called a documentary? It's part interview, part documentary about Kim Jong-gi, and I'm sure a lot of you might be familiar with him. He became a very famous. He's a South Korean artist, and he has this amazing draftsmanship where he can draw anything without any constructing line, and it's pretty amazing what he can do. And he was saying like something I'm saying all the time. I mean, drawing is not so much about talent. Like you might be more born with a better memory or something to that effect, but in the end, it's really like the work that you put in that will make the difference. And I mean, yeah, his drawing is amazing, but even there was even a quote, and I forget whose art it is from, but I think it was it Michelangelo, like saying if you knew how much time I spent to become that good, you wouldn't be so amazed at it. And I guess what I would say is that the talent really is the talent for the talent is it it's not talent, it's or is it the talent to keep trying and perseverance? I mean, if there is a talent there, that's where it is. So any of you, you know, picking up your pencil every day and, you know, going at it and not giving up, I mean, you have my utmost respect. I mean, this is it's not always easy, right? And then to me, it's totally normal that he's at the level he's in, because he draws all the time. I mean, I don't draw all the time. There are some times where I could draw and I don't. But he never stops, and I think that's really the difference. Well, you know, I think it is a major factor, if it's not the only difference between anybody who wants to become an artist and a great artist. So, I mean, just keep doing the work and you'll get there. And as I always say, you know, keep doing the work, but don't burn yourself up doing it. So what does that mean? That means you shouldn't like one day decide, starting from tomorrow I'm gonna draw 23 hours a day. No. Okay, so you do it one day, you do it 2 days. How many days can you keep it up? And even I went pretty extreme there, but even if you said, I'm gonna draw 10 hours a day starting from tomorrow. Let's say you didn't have to work, and you say, I'm gonna draw 10 hours a day, but you barely ever draw, and then you're gonna get burned. I mean, you're gonna hate it very quickly. you know, if you don't, then good for you, but there's a very, very large chance that eventually you're gonna get burned out about it. You cannot push yourself to do something too much at one shot. So the way I did, you know, because at one point I couldn't, I didn't want to draw anymore. I couldn't draw anymore. I had too much to do. I had to take care of my house because I was deep in renovation and other stuff. You know, life was busy, and then I stopped drawing. I was kind of sick of it. I was going nowhere, and then I decided one day I decided to go back to it. But then I don't know where I got that, but I think I heard somebody say what I'm saying right now. You know, just don't try necessarily to be to do too much. You know, even if the most important thing is sitting there and trying every day, and that's the difference. The difference is every day. Even if you do it for 15 minutes, if you sit down and do the work for 15 days, for 15 days, well, if you do the work even for 15 minutes every day, then you've sat down and did something every day, and then eventually, what happens to me, and I've ever heard it, many people say the same thing, is that you're gonna leave something that is unfinished because you're only working on it for 15 minutes, and then the next day you have that to look forward to and to continue or to finish. Finishing is, to me, is really hard because you're kind of you don't know what's gonna happen. You know, I get very stressed up about it. Will people like it? You know, I care a lot about that. I probably shouldn't, because I often think it's not very good. But so finishing is really hard. So what you want to do is keep in a state where you're always producing something, and that really helped me, at least. I'm gonna separate this guy. He shouldn't be on the same layer. Yeah, so when you're in a state of constantly producing something, that's where you can, you know, get a kind of a discipline of it, where you know, it's part of you that you do this every day. I think if you can build that, I think it's great. I mean, you're gonna, you know, and if you like it enough, eventually you can add time. You know, working from home really helped me. I mean, it's a terrible thing that's happening currently in the world, but you know, I can't say it hasn't been detrimental for me up to now. I mean, I'm still working at home for my regular job, but I have a lot more time to draw, and that has been you know, something I appreciate, even if it comes at, you know, even if the circumstances are not that great. But yeah. So what I think I was saying was that once you've got into the habit of drawing every day, thanks Hachiko for the like. Hope you guys are great. So once you got into the habit of drawing every day, then you can start maybe adding 15 minutes, another 15 minutes, and draw for half an hour. It won't look too bad, and then, you know, you're gonna end up after half an hour with something that isn't done, and then you go back to the next day and, oh yeah, you know, I have to finish that. You know, this is something I'm not done with yet, and then maybe I could remove this guy. Because I think it would be better if I'm just gonna cut him for now. I kind of like them though. This queer, crazy hair. What I'm trying to do here is kind of build a tunnel where I can see my all the way in the back, my speaker. Kind of want to be, you know, so that people can see him in the back there and giving his speech. I want to see smaller and smaller people in the background as well. So I think maybe I'll even add another messed up. Okay. That's the problem with working with layers, is that you get confused. Okay. These two, so especially trying to speak and talk and draw at the same time, I guess it's good for my brain to do the dual thing. Yeah, so what I'm trying to do here is trying to create kind of a tunnel, whereas you can see that there's a lot of people, and as it gets gradually smaller, you know, you can see the group. So yeah, so I'm gonna maybe have another layer here, and I'm gonna use a blue and just try to, you know, get the hint of some people here. And there could be somebody in front of him here. So I think that kind of makes sense as a group. And then I kind of ran out of main colors to do the background here. And turn on my perspective guide again for that part. And then I'm gonna, I use that blue, maybe I can use a teal. How about that? Could have used a teal before. And I've just been starting using this kind of technique, and I like it a lot. But I still need some. I think eventually, you know, I will really get it down and say, oh yeah, my first layer is this color, second is not, is this color. Because teal would have made more sense before blue. It's kind of warmer. It's warmer. It's a warmer color. Even before I get to purple, probably. Maybe not. Yeah, so I have a window here. And it's kind of high. And then I remember, let me open up the other page beside it. And people are really going crazy about my, my cicada in that Transformers group. I think I got like 130 likes for it. None of my drawing ever got that much likes. It's like, oh my god, you know, you spent a month on something. You don't get that much attention for it, but you do one picture and then people go nuts. You know, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. It's a funny picture, and it's a cool transformer, so can't blend in too much. Okay, so there's a kind of a giant sign in the back of alleyway here, something like that. And there's a smaller kind of, I think actually looking at I'm kind of eyeballing it, you know, it's not real dimensions. I think it's just, it makes enough sense for what I'm doing. That's pretty much my minimum. I just want it to kind of make sense when you look at it. I mean, and then I can talk about that. So, and then I think there was another interview I watched, and then the guy was saying, when you're with professional artists, you get really insecure because you know that they know that you can't do something. And I guess this is kind of true. But I also watched another documentary. This was a documentary about image. And then in image, they came, the artists like that found an image, and I have a horrible blank. McFarlane, oh god, and Rob Lee Liefeld and these guys, they started image as a way because basically these Marvel was stopping them to do a lot of stuff. Like they wanted to try something different. They wanted to do crazy layouts that Marvel wanted to keep their line, their style, and then they were tired of it. They wanted to explore something else. So I think that, as I understood it, it was a major reason why they decided to start their own company, and also because they felt they were being cheated a little bit, because there were a lot of people were buying comics because they wanted their stories. So they decided to found their own company, and one of the things they did is really to do kind of really rule breaking things like exaggerated muscles and crazy proportions and I a lot of people they're criticizing Rob Liefeld, I never remember how to pronounce it, because and I agree some of his proportion are in those days were pretty weird, but I think it should be seen more as a expressionist kind of thing, where you're not trying necessarily to be 100% of accuracy. It's not I think that if he had really tried to be accurate, he could have drawn something a lot more accurate. He might not be the best at drawing feet or whatever, but I think he could have done something much more accurate if he wanted. But I think the idea here was really to make something different and make something more expressive. So with McFarlane saying that, I'm surprised a bit about that. He was saying that you couldn't make a character come at you on the page, but pretty sure I saw some old comic where that happened. Anyway, so he said that it was kind of something like make something come at you and be very expressive, and those kind of things that were kind of taboo in DC. And it's something I really appreciate, because one of my favorite artists for a long time was Sam Keith, and if you know who did the Max, and if you ever read the Max, you'll know what I mean when I say that his drawings are extremely expressive and very and they're not accurate. I mean, they're not trying to be to respect the anatomy 100%. They're trying to give an emotion in the drawing. Like he would mix like children's drawings and like super detailed face drawings and stuff like that. And true that why is he doing it? Is it because there's a lack in his like academic knowledge? Maybe so. I really don't know. If he was trying to draw something super accurate, I'm thinking he could. Maybe it might be something he's less comfortable with, but that doesn't really matter. I think that what really matters is that he tried to make something that is really expressive, and that was something that as a teenager it kind of resonated with me, and I saw that you don't necessarily need to know everything. You don't need to be a perfect artist. You need to make something that's expressive and that resonates with people, and that's great. I mean, if you it knowing how to draw something is great, but even if you know how to draw something, if you make it boring, nobody will be interested. And I think I'm sure that I can apply this better to my drawing, because sometimes I look at what I did previously, and I think it's a little bit boring. I think I could have done better. I look at my characters, and I don't necessarily fully not appreciate, but I feel like they could be a lot better. So that's something that's in the back of my mind, and currently I am working on the next big thing I want to do, because as I just said before, finality is really hard, because you reach the end of something and you feel really empty because you gave all yourself to it, and then when it's ending, you're kind of left with an emptiness that's very hard to fill. So I think having multiple projects for me, it really helps that. So because of that, I always have like another thing to do. I mean, and so this is really this chapter will be the end of the third book. I have 2 other books of Tales from the Interface, but then I have another story that I want to do after that, and that's really what's cooking in the back of my mind, and will be cooking for the next few years while I finish this. And then I want to apply these some of the ideas that I get from I'm saying, okay, so characters need to be better. This needs to be better. I should spend more time beforehand on working on those characters, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm trying. I have a whole folder for that next story, and then currently I'm working on trying to make those as vivid as possible, giving them backstories and stuff like that. I would hope that my next work will be a much better, much richer thing, and I am thinking a lot about it these days. I was just swimming in the pool and with my daughter, and we were shooting kind of weird ideas at each other, and I got some pretty cool stuff there. Just doing that, just relaxing, and letting your imagination go, and that's fun. But I really I don't like to end something, because I know that I've built up an expectation of what people might think of it, which I totally shouldn't, but it's really hard for me not to. I always want, I spend so much time on something that I want it to be successful, but I cannot, in any world, expect that to happen. So if it happens, it happens, but I know that in fact and in reality that doesn't happen. Well, not very often. I mean, there's always a chance, but let's say I'm really not keeping my hopes up. So how does that work? Because it's viewed from the top. Okay, so this would... I'm trying to figure out the perspective of this specific panel here. So it's viewed from the top, so the horizon needs to be fairly low. I don't need so much perspective, guys, but it kind of helps me to figure out. I might make some basic line here just to help me make sense of this panel here. Yeah, it should, in theory, it would be like a kind of a 3-point perspective, but it really doesn't need to be that complicated for a drawing like that. Okay, let me just put this perspective guide into the layer. Lower the opacity of this a bit. Oh yeah, I wanted to maybe clean that up a bit. Just remove the extra stuff. Alright. And that's a little bit what I was talking about. I've been enjoying like those multi-layer colored things. I think it's really cool. It looks good too. Looks a bit like a 3D drawing or something. You know, I was thinking I might end up even using that as a final for, not necessarily as final as it is, but as inspiration for final work. Okay, so these guys now. Should be able to draw on the horizon now. So that when the guides become green, it means they are no longer maybe I'll just do it 1 point, it'll be easier. I'm not sure what's going on here. I don't want to think too much. I don't know why it puts the layer at the bottom every time. It's so annoying. Just put it in the layer I'm at. Just where I am, no? Why you need to put it at the bottom? Okay. No, that one. Yes. Okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna lower that a lot because actually the horizon in this specific drawing would be extremely low. Not sure it's gonna matter that much, but so I have the frame here. I don't think it's really that important, but no, I draw everything in color. So it's gonna be, oops. This guy's gonna be kind of, I really want it to look like they're, you know, they're looking into the, hands are pressed against the window. Now that is one crappy drawing. But you know, at this stage of the drawing, it's really when I do the sketches like that, it's really just an you know, I don't want to spend time on it. I just want to see if it makes sense. So what I'm doing right now is really kind of confirming my hypothesis that it makes sense. So, and I think it does. So now I'm just gonna spend a little bit more time, you know, determine exactly what the pause is, you know, and as well, I have a group of beta reader, and I don't submit the first draft anymore because it's so hard for people beside me to make sense of it. But this step of the process, it's much clearer. I mean, you can read the story at that point, but from the purely from the step before, I mean, it's really hard to make sense of anything. It's really just a draft for me. Ugh. Probably the hair is wrong here, man. That's fine. And I got to thank my friend Martin for just you know, listening to me reading my script and pointing at some stuff for me. Like, for example, like these guys here, you know, that's really him, like, you know, telling me I should set up these guys before, so that, you know, you get the feeling that something's kind of gonna happen here, because they're, you know, they're getting more and more people there, and that's something I totally eluded me when I was working on the script. I guess, you know, you could say it's experience, but I think having somebody read your work before you spend so much time on the comic is really good. These guys are probably way too big. Yeah, it's not really interesting. I think at this point it might just be like very small and shadowy kind of thing. And the window is pretty high, so maybe like this. I'm looking. If I were looking here to here, yeah, so like it would be pretty small, and then it would be angled like this. Probably something like that. So might be something I refine further on as well. And now I'm looking at it, probably, you know, it can probably be maybe a bit angled, more angle. We can see more of his shoulder, and might be more interesting, as well as the bubble. I think the bubble I don't want to lose what I did because it took me a while, but I think I'm gonna try and change the shape so I can, you know, there's a big empty space I'm not really using anyway, so oops. So I can have more of my character showing up, using more of that empty space. And we're almost at time, my friends. I don't know if anybody listening has any questions, but I'd be glad to take them now. Otherwise, I thank you all for coming today. It has been my pleasure as always. I hope that you got something out of it. You know, if you did, I really appreciate any follow, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Share it with your friends. Tell them it's been useful for you. That really helps me. You know, get the word out about the comic. Send them the URL of the webcomic. You know, that I don't have any kind of marketing beside myself. I'm the one doing everything, so I do appreciate when people take time to talk about my comic and share it with other people. You know, all I can do much besides like sharing out it on like social media and other like comic groups, but that only goes so far. So if you're, you know, a comic lover and you know other comic lover, then, you know, share my comic, and you know, that will really go a long way to make this little experience of mine successful. As for me, I'm gonna keep on trying on and trying to improve myself little by little. And I think I am, you know. I want to be positive, and you know, if I look back at what I've been doing for, you know, I think I started the site in 2017, so it's been 3 years already. And if I look at the first pages, I think, you know, there was a lot of improvement. So it's a weird, this bubble, right? I'm not sure how to do it. Maybe like this. Maybe I can shorten the text, that would be nice. Welcome to Transarical. By coming here, you've taken your first step. By coming here, you've taken your first step into a bigger world. Don't take my word for it. This is Buttocks, who's been with us for only 1 month. I can make him a bit smaller, maybe. Just that bubble seems so squeezed. Maybe my original one was better. I don't like this, that, you know, the bubble theme, you know, it feels so forced. Maybe I can make it like longer and not as wide. I wish they would have a kind of a wrapping box for text. It would make a lot more sense. Scale, rotate, skew. They don't really have a wrapping option. You know, they should. Another problem with this is that you can't, there's no built-in correction. So you kind of need to make sure your text doesn't have any errors before you put it in, because nobody's gonna check it for you. I mean, there's no software that's gonna make sure that you didn't make any mistake. So yeah, I guess it makes more sense like this. Just a bit weird. Wish I could make this shorter. I'm gonna read it again, you know. So that's a bit what I was saying. I mean, I'm never really done unless until the book is actually sent to the printer. I'm always like looking at this and saying, can I make it shorter? Welcome to Transurvical. By coming here, you've taken your first step into a bigger world. Your first step into a bigger world. Don't take my word for it. Who's been with us for only 1 month? It's pretty to the point. I guess I could remove that part. Why not? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna actually keep this text. I'm copying it. And I'm gonna and then I'm gonna have him say it here. So I'm gonna move this caption to here. Yeah, that's good. So save some space and now it looks a lot better. Okay, but just for the sake of it, if I were to use that one here, I could, and I'm still gonna edit that bubble, but now I can have his hand doing a gesture, which is much more. I'm not sure which movement is appropriate, but I think just having his hand in the picture like this. To a bigger, not sure what movement should he make with his hand, but I like having his hand in the picture like this. I'm gonna remove, yeah, there you go. And then can probably move this word to the previous line. Yeah. And that being said, I've extended myself more than I I did start later, but then I'm pretty over time now. So that's pretty much what I had for you today. As usual, you know, I will continue during the week, and you know, if you have any comments, feel free to leave them below. What else is there to say? I hope you will join me again next weekend, same time, 10:30 East, on Saturdays. And with that, I wish you a great week and a great Sunday.